अच्छा मुझे बताओ, what are green flags in him and red flags in him, and you will do vice same for her.
Not competitive with me.
अच्छा.
मैं इसके रोल्स नहीं लेता हूँ.
And he's actually a very good listener. Red flags, he talks to himself.
Green flags, she's very kind and not pointing out the other red flags.
Radio Nasha.
Hi, परी हूँ मैं and you're watching us on Radio Nasha, and परी को इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं fairy. So I'm here to talk about fairy folk with the team of fairy folk, Rasika, Mukul and Karan. Welcome to Radio Nasha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
पहले तो क्या फिल्म बना दी है यार. मतलब when I watched, I was like, okay. अच्छा सबसे पहले ना मेरे को टाइम लगा टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. उसके बाद स्लोली आई कुड अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट्स हैपनिंग, बट द गुड पार्ट इज दैट इट केप्ट मी ग्रिप्ड, इट केप्ट मी हुक्ड कि चलो आगे होता क्या है. तो सबसे पहले तो ये आइडिया करण, like where did this अतरंगी idea come from?
There's no, I don't think it, the idea was just something that I've thought about while I was writing the whole script out from like scene 1 to whatever the ending is. So it was like, I think because I moved to Goa, it had been like 8 years since I'd moved there, and it was like this whole nature and man has, like we're so close to nature over there as compared to in Bombay. And I thought that like where we were sort of pushing cockroaches and lizards out of our house in Bombay, we sort of accept them over there. We sort of let them, because you cannot keep pushing them out. And like, you know, plants are growing out of little concrete spots or whatever it might be. So from that, it sort of, I thought that if you have a man of whatever, this thing that sort of enters your house and sort of enters into the relationship of a couple, how that would be like when they sort of disrupt it, and like what is the kind of ways that we can affect it. So sort of like that, that's where the idea came from.
हाँ, but like how did you think of this? Like in 2024, कैसे सोचा कैसे ये?
I don't know.
Because this is like fiction का भी fiction.
Yeah, I know.
है ना?
Yeah. It's
Karan
weird.
style.
It's weird.
Yeah. So when Karan ने जब आप लोगों को बताया, like how did he explain the film to you both?
So the film is actually an improvised film. मतलब हर
हाँ,
scene
मेरे
का
को लगा.
हाँ.
Because the dialogues were not dialogish.
Yes.
Yeah.
एकदम भी नहीं.
Thank
तो मुझे
you.
ऐसा लगा कि ऐसा होगा that it felt like just two people like candidly talking, you know.
So that was the idea of doing this. तो हर सीन का एक ढांचा था, लेकिन exactly उस सीन में क्या बोला जाएगा, क्या कैसे होगा, वो सब बिल्कुल decided नहीं था. So that's why I think he cast people who have done improvisational work before. Mukul has worked with a group called Improv Comedy Mumbai. मैंने भी उनके साथ थोड़ा बहुत काम किया है. अंकित अविनाश तो जो दूसरे actors हैं वो बहुत ही seasoned improvisers हैं, and they're lovely to watch on stage actually. तो हम सबको at least एक हमारी वर्किंग रिदम थी. हम जानते थे कि इम्प्रोव के बेसिक रूल्स क्या है, क्योंकि कई बार लोग सोचते हैं कि इम्प्रोवाइजेशन मतलब आप उठ के कुछ भी कर दो. ऐसा नहीं है. मतलब इट्स लाइक अ स्पोर्ट. So you don't play the same game every day. Every day is a new day, and the game is different. But there are some basic rules that you have to practice as a team together so that you can do a good improvisation. So हम सबके बीच में वो working rhythm था. So I think that's why we could pull this off.
Yeah. No, but जब इन्होंने कहानी बताई होगी कि कहानी ये है, like what was your reaction? Questions क्या पूछा आप लोगों ने?
मुझे लगा ये पागल है. सच में अगर मैंने करण की पहली फिल्म नहीं देखी होती, and I didn't have the trust in his, you know, aesthetic and create and how we do things. अगर कोई और होता वो just come into the house and said कि ये मैं फिल्म बनाना चाहता हूँ और स्क्रिप्ट भी नहीं है, डायलॉग्स आप खुद बना लो सेट पे, तो मैं बड़ी पोलाइटली मैं ना कर देता, and I would have found a way to ask him to leave. But it was Karan. So it was bizarre for me. मतलब I like, for example, मुझे fairy tales या ऐसे magical realism stories पसंद है, but I cannot think like this. You know, I cannot think up of something. जैसे आपने पूछा, I was actually waiting for the answer, क्योंकि मैं भी पूछना चाह रहा हूँ, how did you come up with this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bizarre. But हाँ, there was just some trust कि Karan will do a good job of this.
It's interesting, you know, बहुत सारी चीज़ें interesting है, and मैं बहुत बार सोच रही थी कि क्या ये metaphor है, like you know, like एक ऐसा creature का आना and उनके relationship, and then they finally get to they understand कि हमें ये पसंद है इस इंसान के बारे में और ये पसंद नहीं है इंसान के बारे में. So I was just trying to think, are these metaphors? You know, so पता नहीं, मैं शायद overthink कर रही थी. Like, did you think of it like that?
Yeah, I think there is always there's a reason for all of it, but it's like I feel like जैसे मैं बोल देता हूँ ना, it becomes like that is set in stone, and I don't. It's like you have an idea about it, and I don't want to mess around with your idea of it.
Right.
It's a great.
And I guess that's a mark of a good film, right?
I heard you guys say also कि इसको linear shoot किया था,
जी,
है ना? तो मजा आता है उसमें करने में, और does it get challenging?
बहुत मजा आता है. रसिका, कोई want to say
No,
something?
you go.
नहीं, I think it's so much easier. पहले जब हम थिएटर करते थे, so the benefit of theatre also is that you're, मतलब आप linearly जा रहे हो ना, you're telling the story or you're going through the emotions of the character in the same order की जैसे audience देख रहा है.
Right.
So film generally film camera work में ये ऐसे होता नहीं है. You shoot scene 1, then scene 72, then scene 47, और आपको मतलब अपनी दिमाग में रखना है कि what was the scene before, what is the scene after, वो fixed रखना पड़ेगा थोड़ा बहुत. And then sometimes it's a problem also because जब आप वो scene करते हो कुछ बदल जाता है, and then there are times actually I've even asked a director, can we reshoot that scene क्योंकि अभी मैंने कुछ अलग किया यहाँ पे. इसमें ऐसा कुछ problem था ही नहीं. You're going through the journey like the characters are. So I'd love that. I think if we can all do it, it would be great to do it in all projects.
Right.
That's actually an actor's delight. क्योंकि कई बार जैसे मुकुल ने कहा, if you've not shot scene number 2 and you're shooting scene number 3, you have an imagination of how scene number 2 would have gone.
Correct.
And based on that imagination, you're doing what you're doing in 3. And then when you go to shoot 2, it's not like
Correct.
your imagination was about it at all. Something completely different is happening. So then you're probably working backwards from what you had done in scene number 3, or trying to find a middle ground so that both those scenes, when put consecutively, sort of work for your character. So that is a challenge of acting. It's very thrilling to do that in cinema actually.
Right.
As an actor, it's a very interesting challenge. But it's very nice to not have that challenge once in a while also. So इस film में
Correct.
ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं था, because it was so easy. You know,
Yeah.
we had just shot the scene before, so we knew exactly how we were entering the next scene.
Right. What do you call उसे आप
Creature.
creature बोलो, है ना?
We call he's credited as human.
Which is not. So
Which is
Yeah. So when that creature comes,
Yeah.
आप लोगों के जो reactions होते हैं ना, like मुझे लगा कि you guys, like for example, if I come home and I see there is एक random आदमी किचन में who's like just taking out stuff from fridge, I would have screamed and freaked out and like oh my god. So मुझे ऐसा लगा कि यार ये लोग थोड़े से शायद freaked out है, but उतने भी freaked out नहीं है. You know, also the way you guys were like accepting.
Lots
I'm
of
like,
things.
I'm like, ये क्या हो रहा है, ये who are these people?
Yeah.
So ये क्या था, ये conscious था? I mean, was it a part of the script and the character line?
नहीं, लेकिन मुझे लगता है हमारी जो इमेजिनेशन होती है कि हम एक पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में कैसे रिएक्ट करेंगे, वो हमारे एक्चुअल रिएक्शन से एक्चुअली बहुत डिफरेंट होता है.
Yeah.
आई ऑलवेज फील दैट यू नो व्हेन वी थिंक ऑफ पीपल इन हु आर गोइंग living in a war situation, for example, we think that their lives must be completely, like they must be distraught all the time and all of that, but actually if you have to look at a real setting, people have a sense of humor. They're just trying to latch on to things to survival. Sort of the instinct to survive sort of makes you do things which are very different from what you imagine yourself. And also, I mean, the way people deal with death. You know, so when you imagine it, or a death of somebody close to you, you imagine कि बहुत कोई हालत खराब होगी, लेकिन actually people move on and they find a way in life.
Yeah.
So I feel, and because this was improvised, it was fun to find what came naturally to us when we saw such bizarre things happening in front of us.
Correct.
But कुछ चीजें हैं जैसे, which is interesting what you said. एक तो when that creature comes to the house, फिर बाद में, I mean, without giving too many spoilers, कि मतलब there are more and more people. अपने घर में ज्यादा more people are living in a house. How do you deal with that?
And सब cousin है.
सब cousin है. And because मेरे को पता है आप लोगों के like the friends, you know,
Right.
Mohit and Ritika के
उनको
friends,
अजीब लग रहा
they were freaking out. And but Mohit and Ritika were so chill about it.
Yeah.
Or I think she says that also. Afreen says that also.
Yeah.
कि how are you so chill about
Yeah.
this?
So that I remember जब हम prepare कर रहे थे, then I think we had this question कि, you know, we discussed this, that ये क्यों कर रहे हैं ऐसे, you know, and how do you accept it? And sometimes that becomes, you know, like for actors, it's, you're given a story. Now you can't say कि ये कहानी गलत है. You have to figure out from that story, अच्छा, what kind of a person is Mohit, or what kind of people are Mohit and Ritika, that they will accept this to some extent and find this bizarre solution out of it. And sometimes for us that becomes a gift कि अच्छा ये मिला है, तो now let's see how we are as people. So I think it's a bit of both, right?
लेकिन कुछ प्लान नहीं था करण की तरफ से भी ऐसा कि इतना तक रिएक्शन देना चाहिए या नहीं देना चाहिए, तो ऐसा बिल्कुल कुछ प्लान नहीं था. जैसा हम एक दूसरे के साथ रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहे थे वैसा ही हमने रखा.
और कुछ चीजें ही kept genuinely tried to keep us surprised. जैसे जो ओपनिंग सीन है जहाँ पे that creature का, so how he looks, वो उन्होंने दिखाया नहीं हमें, you know, and so we genuinely we saw it for the first time.
But consciously we made a decision.
We knew that कोई आने वाला है, but when he will come, what time, which point, कैसे दिखेगा, हमें कुछ आइडिया नहीं था. And actually the very first take we took was the take he kept. Because I think it's also the most natural
organic.
surprise.
I think they both also, and I think I spoke to Rasika after that, and I said that you really freaked out about it, and she was like, I actually forgot that this was happening. Yet again, Rasika said, I have forgotten the thing.
That's my problem. Or it's a gift.
Gift,
It was a gift. It was a
As an
gift to
actor,
this. She can maintain absolute objectivity of the.
No, and I think उस take में we went off camera.
Yeah.
We went off camera
Which is
because she
fun.
was so scared that we went off camera. But he's kept that.
Yeah.
So there's a part of that opening scene जहाँ पे we are off camera and the voices are from off
I
camera.
saw
Yeah.
किसी गाड़ी है और अंधेरा है,
But आप सुन
आवाजें
सकते
आ
हो.
रही है.
And we
Yeah.
just went
Very
off
good.
camera.
You're like trying to see कहाँ है.
that scene.
It's very
I
good.
think it's
Yeah.
worked
Even when we
very
first saw it, also on set was damn fun.
Yeah, he said,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this scene. We'll shoot another one, but मैं ये रख रहा हूँ. I mean, most likely I'll keep this scene.
Coming down to the fact of how they reacted like that, we actually did scenes for those reactions as well. So we shot a little before that. Like for example, that scene where he enters the house, that's actually maybe a 18-minute long shot that we did. You saw the last maybe 3 minutes of it. So, but for 15 minutes, he did tell her, and she did tell him, why aren't we calling the cops? Like, why aren't we doing this? And he's trying to find a reason that, I don't know, man, maybe this is looking okay. Is he really doing any harm? She's sitting really far away because she doesn't know what to do with him. You stick the thing onto him.
अच्छा.
Yeah, you did all that.
I don't
You
remember
guys did
all
all
this.
that work. Yeah.
Can we have another film?
You should do it. You should do it.
Unused.
Yeah.
How
Unused
many
takes.
hours of footage did you have?
We had about, minutes-wise, we had about 3,500 minutes of footage.
Oh
And
my
now the film is how
god.
many?
100 minutes, yeah. So that's how much you had to
All
cut.
our
why-
best,
Oh my
all our best takes are actually there.
Not really. It's not a movie.
इसको 2 साल लग गए editing the film. Obviously, like.
और अभी कोस रहा था ये एडिटिंग टेबल पे कि एक्टर्स क्या फेल भूल के क्या
सच में दो साल लगे सच में.
Yeah, it took about 12, about that much, yeah. It took about 14, 15
कब
months.
शूट
and
किया आप
then-
लोगों ने
yeah.
इसे?
18 and 19.
What?
2018
End.
end. I remember I was promoting Mirzapur 1 at the same time.
Was it Mirzapur 1 you were promoting?
Yes.
And 2019 also.
And 2019.
And you'd done Office also, right?
Yeah, I just finished
Wow.
Office, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Acha, Karan, I mean, you said that you want this film to be open to interpretation. कि you know लोग जैसे देखे वो कुछ अपने हिसाब से अपनी थॉट अपनी एक्सपीरियंस के हिसाब से उसे ड्रॉ करें, बट कुछ तो होगा दैट यू वांट पीपल टू टेक अवे फ्रॉम द फिल्म. लाइक जब आप एक फिल्म बनाते हो यू वांट कि मैं चाहता हूँ कि एटलीस्ट ये मैसेज तो मेरी ऑडियंस तक पहुंचे. व्हाट इज दैट?
See, the thing that I don't like somebody said a really great line, which is that if you're in the business of delivering messages, you should join FedEx. But you should not do films. But the other good one is that I just thought that we should pose more questions rather than giving people answers. I think that's a lot more active form of entertainment than passive. Because it becomes, if I answer too many questions, like one of the big criticisms of Schindler's List is that it lands up being a happy story at the end when actually it's not a happy ending. If you guys remember Schindler's List, anyways, that thing happens when actually it answers a question when actually we want more questions. We don't want those answers at the end. So I thought that's a really nice way of making. Because those are the kind of films that I like watching and I like sitting with. And those are the ones that when I wake up in the morning, I have forgotten the previous day, but the only thing that I remember is that I had watched this film the previous day, and that's why I remember it. It's because of that. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another takeaway would be that you know जब आप लोग पता नहीं मेरे को कट कर देना if you think I'm revealing giving out too many spoilers, but it's like आपका जो आप लोग दोनों का जो रिलेशनशिप होता है इसमें मोहित एंड रितिका का, लाइक मोहित को चाहिए somebody like रितिका बट नॉट रितिका, एंड रितिका को चाहिए somebody like मोहित बट नॉट मोहित. You know, it's just so complex. You both are obviously real life couple. क्या easy होता है एक साथ काम करना when you are, because I've heard a lot of people and lot of people who are together say that we keep we want to keep things separate.
right.
Personal and professional हमें थोड़ा separate करना है. तो एक ही है, क्या easy होता है या challenging होता है?
इस सिचुएशन में तो मुझे लगा कि ये because we already had a working rhythm in place, I felt it was much easier than it would have been with anybody else. एंड ऑल्सो हम एक दूसरे का काम बहुत डिस्कस करते हैं और काफ़ी डिटेल में डिस्कस करते हैं, तो मुकुल को ऑलरेडी पता था व्हाट आर द फ्यू रेड फ्लैग्स फॉर मी इन अ को एक्टर.
अच्छा ओके.
जो को एक्टर मुझे बोले कि क्या करना है, बिग रेड फ्लैग. क्योंकि वो को एक्टर का काम नहीं है, वो डायरेक्टर का काम है. को एक्टर का काम है आपके साथ सीन में रहना. तो ये सब बेसिक चीज़ें हम लोगों की बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज इन प्लेस. सो आई थिंक देयरफॉर, एंड क्योंकि हमने एक साथ इम्प्रोवाइज भी किया हुआ है, इम्प्रोवाइजर्स भी रहे हैं हम एक साथ, so all that was sorted. So I think that familiarity in this case really helped and gave us the opportunity to then work on something more and build something more with the characters.
Nice. Mukul?
I think इस process में, improv में actually वैसे भी scripted stories में भी ऐसे होना चाहिए that nobody is trying to have a difference of opinion कि scene ऐसे होना चाहिए वैसे होना चाहिए. You should do your own thing like she was saying. But कभी-कभी tendency है scripted work में between actors sometimes that वो होता है. इस process में उसकी गुंजाइश थी नहीं because इम्प्रोव का रूल ही ऐसा है कि दूसरा को एक्टर जो भी कहे यू हैव टू एक्सेप्ट इट एंड एक्सेप्ट इट फुल्ली एंड ओवर कमिट टू इट ऑलमोस्ट. सो देयर वाज नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ कि आई एम नॉट गेटिंग अलॉन्ग विद माई को एक्टर बिकॉज यू कुडंट विद एनी अदर को एक्टर. द ओनली वे या तो यू विल सिंक टुगेदर और स्विम टुगेदर. सो इम्प्रोव में यू हैव टू काइंड ऑफ गो अलॉन्ग विद एवरीबडी एंड देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ देयर वाज नो डिस्कशन बिफोर अ सीन कि अभी तुम ऐसे बोलो फिर मैं ऐसे बोलूंगा फिर देन द अदर पर्सन में से नहीं मैं ऐसे क्यों बोलूं. वो तो but you can't do that. You have to just accept and go along with it. Discussions happen with the director. अगर मेरी शादी करण से हुई होती then we might have had a problem. But fortunately हम शादीशुदा नहीं है. So it was fine.
Actually director-actor relationship is the hardest.
Correct.
That we take home, I think.
Right. अच्छा मुझे बताओ what are green flags in him and red flags in him, and you will do vice same for her.
Green flags.
मुकुल में green flags और red flags क्या है?
मुकुल में, मोहित में
नहीं, मुकुल में.
ग्रीन फ्लैग्स मुकुल में है कि ही इज नॉट कंपेटिटिव विथ मी.
अच्छा.
मैं इसके रोल्स नहीं लेता हूँ.
एंड ही इज एक्चुअली अ वेरी गुड लिसनर एंड he is a very kind person.
Oh, nice.
Red flags, he talks to himself. And if we open a bag of chips, he will finish it before I can have 4 chips.
Okay. Cute red flags है यार. Okay.
She's being nice.
Mukul?
Green flag that she's very kind and not pointing out the other red flags. No, I think green flags, I would say she's very committed to her work. I mean, it's actually, I would actually even say it's kind of inspiring. And I think I've learned a lot from her just from that aspect. She's just extremely committed to doing as good a job at all points in time. And I think that's something I really admire. Red flags, जब मैं अपने आप से बात कर रहा हूँ, she wants to be a part of that conversation. She's constantly coming and saying, किससे बात करो, मुझसे बात करो ना, tell me who you're talking to. And मैं कभी, I have this बीमारी, I talk to myself a lot. And कभी public में मैं छिपा देता हूँ.
Like I'm sitting in the next room and I can hear a chatter in the other room. I'm like, who is he talking on the phone? And I go and look, there's no phone. Mukul is deeply involved in a conversation with himself.
जब मैं सड़क पर चल रहा हूँ ना, I'll put the headphones on. ताकि लोगों को लगे I'm talking on the phone. Actually I'm talking to myself. But even if I'm subtle about it in public, most of you will tell, ये पकड़ लेती है. She catches me and she's like, stop talking to yourself.
Of course. But I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, I think बहुत rare ऐसे interviews होते हैं जहाँ पर पूरे interview में I'm just asking questions about the film.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is that you tend to go थोड़ा सा past में actor की journey में, director की journey में, बाकी काम के. But this is one of those rare interviews where I have just spoken and asked questions about the film.
That's so lovely.
So that's amazing, and I still have so many questions. But I will keep.
Yeah, actually, कुछ questions.
Many things I didn't understand.
No, many questions you're asking, Karan. How did you think? I'm also looking at it. कैसे सोचा तुमने ऐसे?
But Karan wants us to have those questions.
Yeah.
So we will have those questions.
Good.
But thank you so much for your time and I wish you all the best. Lastly, आप कैसे एक्सप्लेन करोगे इस फिल्म के बारे में ऑडियंस को?
ये फिल्म एक रिलेशनशिप के बारे में है और कई बार हम अपनी ज़िंदगी में इतने उलझ जाते हैं कि हमें वक्त ही नहीं मिलता कि हम अपनी रिलेशनशिप्स के बारे में सोचें या उनको कोई वक्त दें. तो एक अजीब प्राणी के आने की वजह से शायद हमें उस रिलेशनशिप में जो खामियां हैं वो देखने के लिए हम मजबूर हो जाते हैं और फिर अपनी जर्नीज पे चले जाते हैं. तो मोटा मोटा यही एक कहानी है और नहीं बता सकती.
यस यस.
और ये कहानी आई वुड से आई यूज अ कोट दैट somebody in Sydney had used. It's sometimes comic and sometimes tragic.
True. Yes, it is. You're laughing and then you're feeling for the people. Yeah, Karan.
Oh God. मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगा.
Yes. हिंदी होना पड़ेगा या.
इस फिल्म में एक सेंट्रल आइडिया इस फिल्म का ये है कि एक फेमस कोट था पहले कि आदमी के 2 ग्रेटेस्ट ट्रेजेडीज जो हैं वो एक है कि जो चीज़ उसको चाहिए वो नहीं मिल रही और दूसरी है जो चीज़ उसको चाहिए वो मिल गई है. तो वो उस चीज़ के बारे में कि ह्यूमन डिजायर्स जो उसको बोलते हैं वो उसके बारे में.
Yes.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Wonderful.
Keywords were in English. You notice.
That's a smart way to
That's
actually
it.
do it. But first March is
Yes,
when it
yes,
comes out for
yes.
people, right?
Yes.
So yeah, first March, Fairy Folk, and thank you so much.
Thank
Hope
you.
to see you soon in the studio again.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.